Copy the rulebook on page 3. You can see this player aid here. This is the main driving player aid for the game. There's 4 copies, 1 for each player. Starts off with the planning phase. So each player gets 1 glory point for each controlled battlefield. Currently there's no control, even though there's units on the board. So like a Jaguar warrior here currently is projecting 0 strength because he has no tokens. So if he had a sword token, he would project 3 strength with this predator attack, regardless if he's exhausted or not. And he had a sword token, he'd have 3, the opponent has 0 tokens, the total strength in the region, so I would have battlefield control, so I would get a victory point, basically a glory point on the glory point track. So everyone gets 1 free leader action, and then an additional 1 for each controlled battlefield. So again, if I controlled this, I'd get 2 leader actions. And now how that works is, I'm going to pick between my hand, basically my empire, and the available mercenary offering. So I could choose this Adel here. How it works is essentially I'm going to be putting it on my leader track on my player board, but to just show you quickly how it works is your first step, you just put the card in on the board. The second step, the card's going to be flipped over to show it's on step 2, and the third step, this goes to your hand. So it's a 3-step process, and then I just unlocked Montezuma, and he has a stronger impale attack. I'll just pick the Adel there, going for Montezuma, and then I have the Britain cards over here. Alright, so he's going to go for William. So that is the planning phase. And then the mercenary offering, no one chose mercenary, so the Choco Nu is going to go to the discard, Catapult's going to slide down, Cataphractoid is going to slide down, and then the Throwing Axeman is now going to be the mercenary offering. So the next part is the Golden Age, and this is where the first player essentially is going to choose how many battle rounds there are going to be. First age card on the top of the deck. They're going to look at it. They're going to secretly pick if they want to do 1 battle round or 2 in this case. There is a variance between 1 and 4, so they get a choice here. Let's say I want to go with 2. So I would choose this end, which is noted by the 2 to 4. So all their players in the game know it's going to be between 2 and 4. If I had chosen 1, it would be on the 1 to 3. That's essentially the Golden Age. That's I'm the first player here, noted by the star. Next up is the core. We're going to start with step 1, which is may re-roll any dice. So these are my dice here. So I have a arrow, horse, and a sword spear. Essentially that allows me to draft a sword or a spear. I'll be able to choose from mine as well as my opponents that are my neighbors. They have a arrow, and a horse. I can draft from any combination of the 6. So I can re-roll, it's optional, then A or B. So first turn of the game is always going to be drafting because you don't start with any tokens. I'm going to draft 3 since it's the Dark Ages. I have the sword, 2 arrows. After you draft, your step 3, and you can deploy any 1 unit from your hand or the mercenary offering by discarding any 1 token from your player reserve. And instead of grabbing a 3rd token, I could just deploy a unit. So I'll just show that here. So I'll just deploy a Eagle Warrior. I discarded a token to do that, so I have a sword and an arrow. That's my turn. The Britain player over there, their turn to draft, they also like their tokens. They're going to actually just draft 3 arrows. Again, they like their dice. They drafted the 3 arrows, and they don't want to deploy because they're looking to power up the piercing shot and the yeoman. So they're going to stick with that, and they're happy now. The Aztec player here, it is now battle round 2, so this card slides to note that. A spear thrower for 2 damage with the arrow here. And this deals extra damage if the target has any reinforcement tokens. It does not. So it's going to do 2 damage. The Adel is exhausted. Now if I'm looking to show my strength in the battlefield, I could just put this here to show that I have 2 strength. They're going to be done drafting arrows, and they're a little bit concerned with seeing as I have a couple units that can draft arrows and use, and I've already showed that I want to use them. So they're actually going to first roll their dice. Now again, it's optional, and they could choose to do so whether or not they're looking to draft or attack. So the Britain player is actually also going to attack. So they're going to put 1. Now 1 is, the first token is always required to be able to do the attack. So they want to do piercing shot. Now the base damage is 3. And how reinforcements work, which is basically the core aspect of the game, is how much you want to power up your unit. They can put extra tokens to do additional damage. So the first one is going to do 3 because that's what's listed there. They're going to put another one for 4, and their final one for 5. So that's going to do 5 damage, so we can mark that here. And the Jaguar Warrior has 8 health, but he's going to take 5 damage. Britain player's out of tokens, so they can't deploy even if they wanted to. So they're going to end their turn. So we're going to mark their Yeoman exhausted. And then we're going to move on what would be possibly the next battle round, but if you remember, the Aztec player chose 2. They only had a choice of 1 or 2. So that's going to end the round. So the round ends. First player token is going to pass across the table to the Britain player. Reveal the card, fast first player right, advance age. So we're going to advance the age to the second half of the Dark Ages. And then it's going to be the Britain player going first. Continuing back around now, so we've got the planning phase here. So 1 glory point for each controlled battlefield. The Aztec player has control here. The Britain player has control there. Each player is going to get 1 glory point. Then each player gets 1 leader action, plus 1 for each battlefield they control. Each player controls a battlefield, so each player is going to get 2. So the Aztec player is going to get Montezuma flipped over with their, so that's the second step. And then the third step, since they get 2 action, they're going to get Montezuma to their hand. The Britain player, likewise, is going to flip over to William and get William to their hand. The Mercenary Offering is there, and it gets updated no matter what. So we're getting some cycling going here. Catapult is now discarded. Alright, so the Golden Age. The Britain player is then going to draw the top card, decide how long they want it to be. They have a choice of 3 or 2, and they're just going to go with the lower number. So they're going to go with the 1 to 3, which in case they're going with the 2 there again. So that's put on the track. And now it's their turn. If they want to roll their dice, they're actually going to do so. Because they're done with the arrows. And now they got 3 siege. Now again, they can roll any number, but they didn't like what they had there. They wanted to switch it up. Seeing that they rolled 3 siege, they are going to try to transition a little bit. And they are going to look to deploy one of their 2. They still have a Yeoman with Warwolf. They have multi-shot on the Rabudikin. So they're going to actually go with the Rabudikin over here. Seeing as this player's got multiple targets, which this is very strong against. And they're going to go with the Rabudikin in the back over here. That's what their plan for this round is going to be. So they're going to draft 2 tokens here. They're going to draft 2 sieges. And then with their third token, they're going to deploy the Rabudikin. Now coming back to the Aztec player here. They're not really liking what's going on in this battlefield. They're kind of seeing that the Rabudikin's winding up for his multi-shot. Try to switch themselves. They're going to leave their horse, and they're going to roll their other 2 dice. And they rolled a arrow and a shield to go with their horse. Well, seeing as the horse is a flank attack that could help against the Huskarl, they're really liking that a lot. So they're going to use the ability to trade. So you may trade, discard any 1 token to pick 1 die side. So they're going to do that. They can do it middle of the draft, or they can discard 1 that they already have. Say I draft, it doesn't matter, a siege. I could spend that siege, and then I'm also going to switch off my arrow into a horse. So now I have 2 horses, and I can draft 2 more tokens. So I'm going to grab 2 horse tokens. Battle rounds are going to slide over. And they're liking their siege strategy. Too much afraid of what's going on here because they have the Huskarl in the front. So they're going to kind of double down. And they're just going to go ahead and draft up to the limit, which is 5 tokens. So they're going to just grab 3 more siege tokens. So they are now at the limit. Back to the Aztec player here. The bottom of the second battle round here. And it's kind of predicted, but they are going to go with Encircle. Alright, so the Eagle Warrior here is going to do the Encircle attack. They're attacking, they have 2 horse tokens, so the first one enables the ability to do 2, but the extra reinforcement is going to allow it to do 3. And it's a flank attack, so it's going to hit the Huskarl which I marked with 3 wound tokens there. In addition, this unit gains 2 shields, or instead an ally gains 2 spears. They're going to go with the shields here. So their strength is now 2 plus 3. They have a strength of 5. And they have control of the battlefield. They've pretty much locked it up pretty safely for now. And so this Eagle Warrior becomes exhausted, and this is the core aspect of the game. The Addle goes down to 1 exhaustion. Anytime an ability grants tokens, it always grants it to units. When you draft tokens to your supply, but unit abilities give other units or themselves tokens. Alright, and then that is the end of the second battle round. And that is the end of the age. So again, it's going to flip over back to this player. I'm just going to skip ahead just to show how attacking works. Essentially, you're trying to build the ultimate attack engine. You're trying to get a 3-unit typical cycle going between your units. And just to skip ahead, they would get this, they'd get control of this battlefield, the Briton would get control of that battlefield, and then they would be ready to attack again because they have a leftover token with the Jaguar Warrior to do the Predator attack, and then the units would cycle again. So the Eagle Warrior would cycle down to 1, the Addle would no longer be exhausted, and the Jaguar Warrior would have 2 exhaustion. You can start to see here, Aztec player, how an attack engine is basically formed. Hopefully that covered how to play Darkness to Glory. And if you have any questions, let me know. Alright, thank you.